Alright, we got the headlights on, but the bumper is sagging pretty bad. As you can see, it's falling off. So we're just going to take this off because we don't really want it to learn a new shape of not the shape it's supposed to be, at least for now. So I'm going to go set it back where it was, and we'll get to work on pulling off the intake manifold and making sure the motor is okay, which I'm really nervous about. This is the video I've been dreading to make because this could determine whether or not the deadline is at all feasible or not. So in my infinite wisdom, a couple of years ago, I decided to put cap screws and hex on everything in the engine bay, and I spent a bunch of money on hardware that was all supposed to be black oxide and therefore corrosion resistant. But as you can see, we're not particularly corrosion resistant. In fact, the white weird powder that's on everything in the engine bay just totally destroyed all of these fasteners, which could be problematic as now I need to take them all off. So the reason I did this was these fasteners at the time, I weighed them, the whole like handful of them, next to the factory fasteners, and they were about half the weight. So again, shaving ounces to make pounds, as we discussed in the last video, well, it was actually almost a half a pound off just the intake manifold itself, just in changing the hardware. So I had considered doing stainless hardware, and I went against it purely because stainless tends to gall and cause, like, they'll stick in the threads really bad. But maybe we'll go back to doing stainless. So anyway, let's open the throttle body. Let's see what we have in here. Totally seized. Can't even open, there we go. So open the throttle body, can't really see in there so well. It looks, from what I can see that you can't, it looks okay. Obviously we need to clean this out. I'm just calling this the Vernonia corrosion, because I had a car at the shop the other day that had been sitting in Vernonia, which is just up the road about 15 miles from me, and it had this same stuff all over it. And I've left cars at the shop for years. I've had cars in Gresham, Oregon, which is just east of Portland, for years and never had problems like this. But out here in West Oregon, Northwest Oregon specifically, kind of up in the hills, I'm only at about 700 feet elevation, so I don't really know what it is, but something causes, I mean, this is aluminum corrosion. This is caused by salt. This has never seen salt. So, you know, I'm hours from the ocean. It's not like the ocean is causing this salt, but yet there it is. It's on everything. I mean, these exhaust housings, they rust pretty bad, but this is stainless. This is cast stainless, and that's got the same stuff on it. I just don't know what it is, but what we're gonna do is pull this off and just hope and pray that everything underneath looks okay. And that'll be today's episode of Will Tune for Tacos, Project Resurrection V2. So here we are. You can see the tops are all pretty rusty, and then where it actually engaged into the engine is also rusty, which is interesting because that's aluminum down there. But the middle, where it should have been exposed to air and whatnot, is not corroded. At least not, except for a tiny bit on a couple of them. Just really odd. It's really odd corrosion. I've never seen this kind of corrosion from a car sitting. But the manifold is now, in theory, free. So I'm going to go ahead and mount the camera so I can have both hands and see what's under here. You're going to see this at the same time I do, so reactions are what they are. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Let's unplug these sensors, I guess, the ones that are part of the intake manifold. Ooh. crusty and old. Just broke that connector for the idle air control motor. So I guess I'll be calling iWire and getting a new one. Alright, I don't know what that goes to. A couple of blue wires that are just kind of loose. Not really sure what that was for. Blue wires, well, just threw my damn camera. Might have broken it. Okay, well, I just threw my camera. This is a Sony Alpha E11, I think, and I've never thrown it before, so it's a durability test. It went out of focus and wouldn't go back into focus, but now it seems okay. So back to the car. Let's see if we can mount it in a way that stays mounted this time. Yeah, that seems a little more stable. All right, here we go. We got the blue wires disconnected. What I was saying was, before I had catastrophic failure with the camera was the blue wires typically are digital pulsed outputs, so more than likely it was for a fan relay or something of that nature. Not really sure what it was for. I'll have to look in the schematic to figure that out. Alright, on to the intake manifold itself. Here we go. No more camera failures. Oh, I've got the throttle cable still on. I'm not going to take this out of the car. I'm just going to pull it kind of off. Let me see. Well, the fuel rail should come with it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We're pretty free other than that coolant line. We'll just set it that way. Alright, so I have, as you might be able to see, oh, I bent that factory gasket. I have phenolic spacers on the car. They're pretty thick ones. I'd say those are probably 7mm or so. I don't know exactly. But pretty thick phenolics. Get these injector gas. Gosh, look at this. This is crazy. I don't know if you can see this or not. This is the shielded wire they give you for the cam sensor, and it's just totally corroded. Like, there, I made a clean spot on it with my thumb. Man. Alright, well, looking into the valves, I'm gonna need a flashlight. Let me grab my phone and see if we can use the phone as a flashlight here. Okay, I found a real flashlight. Let's see if we can get a flashlight to show us. So those valves are open, and that's what I was worried about. So cylinder 2 valves are open, cylinder 4 they're closed, but they look good. They don't look like they're full of that same corrosion. Let's check over here. I'm guessing everybody else will be closed. Looking good on cylinder 1. Looking good on cylinder 3. I don't see a lot of that corrosion. So I think what I'm most worried about is that there's water that's gotten into the cylinder here through. Let's see if we can zoom in, show you how they're open there. I don't know if I can get light to shine in there and my camera at the same time. Well, this camera really isn't up for the task, but the valves are open on cylinder 2. So I think what we need to do is just turn the motor over and see how it feels. I haven't actually tried to even turn this motor over by hand at all. And I'm just worried that the moisture that went into that cylinder 2, because the valves were just sitting open, is going to be a problem. Okay, Subaru uses a 22 on the crankshaft. Let's see if we can get down here. And radiator's kind of in this pipe's in fact, let me just take this pipe out. I rolled good beads on them, so they're in there for real. but we'll just get that out of the way for now. All right, here we go. Oops, we want to set the socket for on. We want to rotate clockwise here. All right, I haven't turned this motor over by hand or any other method in years. Is it going to turn? It's crusty, but I actually think the crusty is the alternator. In fact, it's so much so I want to take the alternator off real quick just to make sure that the crusty is the alternator, not the motor. For anybody wondering who may or may not have seen the channel previously, this bracket is from Keem, which is this Russian guy you can find on the forums, and it's a good bracket as far as alternator relocation stuff goes. Long-winded guy there. All right. Yeah, this belt was stuck to the pulley. You can see it rusted to the pulley. All right, let's try that again. We're connected with, well, we're permanently connected, so we'll just set that up there. This is a little hack, by the way. I've had some people tell me it's not gonna work, and I've done it for years and had it work, although that's loose, but here we go. Look at all the corrosion. My hands are just powdery. Okay, listen carefully. So to me, it sounds dry, but dry isn't the worst thing, because as it seizes up, as soon as it unseizes, you hear compression leave. So it's making compression, which for a motor that's never ran is a good thing. Yeah, I think it's actually in a pretty good spot. I'm pretty excited that it seems to roll over mostly good. Like, it's got a little, as you rotate it, it just feels dry. So I think I can throw some automatic transmission fluid, which is a hack, by the way. ATF is a detergent more than anything else. So ATF, specifically the Mopar ATF, like the Dodge ATF, it works really good for getting rust off of things and using it as cutting oil, actually. Just don't weld on it afterwards because it's not going to work so good. But I think we're okay. I'm optimistic after this moment, because the engine, while it didn't turn over like as smooth as I would like it, for having sat with valves open for that long, if I just put some ATF down cylinder 2, I think it'll clean up. It'll probably take a little longer to break in, which is fine. I'm really just going to break it in on this trip if I end up being able to take the car on this trip. Yeah, I'm just going to break it in and do like a little bit longer engine break-in than normal. Normally I just break in engines on the dyno, but since we have a lot of rust potentially on the sleeves, probably do more of a lengthy break-in. So, I feel like this video is kind of anticlimactic. So I think we need to do something else, like, I don't know, put some parts on the car or something. So let's do that. So I don't have the best tools at home, but I want to try to bend this lip in. I went ahead and pulled the radiator out, and I slotted here and over here. Now I need to figure out some way to bend this kind of seam allowance that I made over. Could do something with like some channel locks. Just, oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah. We'll just channel lock it slowly until we get it rolled. And we're going to build a shroud for it when we're done, so you're not even going to see all of this. Plus it'll be just completely folded under. Yeah, that's going to work great. It's going to be a little tricky through the middle here, but it's already starting to look better. And then what we'll do is, once we have it kind of folded over, then we can set that piece of angle iron on it. And then I bet if I so that's going to work better. It's really starting to fold under once I put the angle iron on it, and then we'll just crimp it flat. I'm not too worried about the paint. You could heat the paint up to try to prevent it from cracking, but I figure this is all going to have to get repainted because it's already all boogered up from other stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done and see what it looks like. So I'm going to say that ain't bad. I think I need to hit a little more here, but that part's pretty, I mean, obviously the middle still needs work, and the middle is going to be difficult because it is double layered back there, so I'm going to have to hit that a lot more, but this part is looking pretty close to straight. I know it ain't pretty, guys, but it's gonna get the job done. All right. So it doesn't look like much, but let's see what it looks like with the radiator back in it. The moment of truth. So much more room for activities. And actually, the bar looks, for just beating it with a hammer, it looks pretty straight. Obviously the middle has a little ripple because that's the way that the factory looks in the middle. But it's looking pretty solid here. Yeah, I'm digging it. I think that looks pretty good. It's pretty tight, and there will be a grill in the front when we're all done. basically factory. Needs hood pins, obviously, but so it's not affecting hood fitment. We are just barely touching right here. So I just cut that little piece from right there. I already had to cut that before in order to make room for the old radiator cap, because the factory radiator doesn't have a cap here, it just has the one over here. So let's see now. Oh yeah, perfect. Well, I got the hood to fit down as well as obviously up, and got the radiator to fit forward quite a bit more. So now we have a decent amount of room behind the radiator. So that's, I mean, that's a complete thing. We need to make brackets for it, but for now I've got zip ties on it, and realistically I think zip ties will work. So to the board of doom and destruction here. Fab radiator support, we're done. Cool. Check health of motor. I mean, I'm calling both of those crossed off the list. So we've got the suspension off the wagon, we've checked the health of the motor. Yeah, pretty good. The tank, I have worked out a deal with Radium, so we're going to be getting a tank from Radium, and that'll be pretty cool. We're going to actually do something interesting with it, because I'm not going to be doing the full Radium fuel system today, or not today, but right now, but soon. So we're actually going to be doing fuel cell. 10-gallon fuel cell from Radium. The injectors I have in a box. In fact, why don't we just throw those in real quick? Well, no, I can't throw them in because the manifold's not bolted down. So we need to bolt the manifold back down, but to do that I need new hardware. So I'm going to get the new hardware and then bolt the manifold down, and then we'll put the injectors in, and that'll be like more things checked off the list, more steps closer. I brought a transmission home. It's the old cable transmission. Kind of been deciding back and forth about whether I want to use it, but for now I'm just going to use it. Yeah, we're getting close. I know it doesn't look close, but we're getting close. So, you know, keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing, and we'll keep working. All right? Thanks for watching. Bye.